Ho ho, listeners. Welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the part time Avenger. That is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Yippee-ki-yay, it's Christmas, and here we go to do our last, hopefully last, conversation about a holiday movie this year. I know it is because I work here. Every year we talk about some out there Christmas movies, or we've talked about some traditions, and I think that both of us have something very common in common, Dan, with maybe some of our listeners, maybe just people in general, is both of us are dads and both of us enjoy movies. And there are some decent Christmas movies out there. And they might not be good. They might not just be, they might be something that just bring nostalgia because we had to watch them all the time because they reran them on the TV when there were only like 12 channels. But either way, we love movies. We share this love of movies with our kids. Mine's a little younger than yours, so you've had this opportunity for far longer than I have, but I'm starting to get there with them. And I thought it would be just really cool to kind of talk about our favorite Christmas movies and how we kind of share those with our kids. Because Christmas is a time of giving, so why not give them great movies?
You're absolutely right, but I will throw this out there. And if you've been listening to us, I think you all know that I don't really watch a lot of, in quote, kids' movies. I watch a lot more of them now because I have kids, but that kind of also fell true to the holiday movies as well. My family are, and this is a little bit of a retread for some of the listeners that have been around a while, but Christmas time, favorite Christmas movie, it was not what you think it was. And it wasn't even the other one that you think it was that everyone says is a Christmas movie. But it is the holidays. But Mark, I want to ask you, what makes Christmas movies so timeless, in your opinion, especially like the ones from your childhood?
I think that when you're a kid, you get excited about Christmas. You're getting presents, you know, you're getting presents and you're going to play with those presents. And there's just, there's that kind of magic that comes with it. And as you grow older, you're the one that has to buy the presents and you're the one that has to supply the magic and you deal with all the rest of the shit that comes with being an adult. Which fuck that shit. It sucks. Work, bills, and all of it, right? It comes down, having to deal with family that maybe are not as nostalgic and you don't want to deal with anymore because they fucking suck, especially around the holidays. But I think that holiday movies in general give you this opportunity to recapture and revisit some of that nostalgic magic feeling, right? Because the movie doesn't change. The way you perceive it changes, but you can still kind of tap back into some of that excitement. And I don't know about you. Like I am shocked that it's Christmas already. Like shit snuck up on me like fucking Batman. Michael Keaton just stared me in the eye and said, "Ho ho ho, motherfucker." And the tradition of pulling out those nostalgia bomb kind of brings me into that moment a little bit more and allows me to kind of enjoy the holidays a little bit better. And you and I have showcased a lot of those movies that bring us joy through the years, right, Riggs?
I mean, I am getting too old for this shit, but yeah, I mean that's something that is always going to be a little bit more memorable for me because I don't like the typical Christmas movies. There are some better ones that have come out that I was like, oh, this is a fun movie. But I mean, for me, I think deep down everyone wants to be happy around Christmas, and I think that's what the aura and the mystique and the magic of Christmas is like, okay, you can sit down and watch some pretty shitty movies. You can sit down and have dinner with some really ignorant and rude relatives, but at the same time, and by the way, I don't have any relatives to sit down and have dinner with because I'm very far removed from a lot of them, but I wish I could. And you know what? I would probably watch some fun Christmas style movies and we would have a good time with each other. But yeah, that's kind of what it is for me. It's a special occasion and it's that time of year that brings out that special occasion. My wife is really big into Christmas, which makes it which makes me really big into Christmas and for the benefit of my kids because didn't have a whole lot of that growing up. We were aware that it was Christmas time, my siblings and I, but it wasn't like the Griswolds or anything where it's like, oh, this is like our thing. The very few routines that we had. I mean, that's like the difference between people's upbringings and also their preference in movies. And that's what
I,
we love to talk about is movies.
yeah, and I agree. My wife has definitely influenced my thought on this. Like, I just see this as a tradition unlike any other. Uh, bad movies that for some reason are good because they give you that nostalgic happiness. So I like to look at these as like two different categories of Christmas movies, right? There's the classics, if you will. There's the ones that everybody says are a Christmas movie. They're Christmas themed. There's Christmas on the cover. They play them on TV. They're just like a regular rolling thing. While I'm sure both of us appreciate those movies, there's also the other ones, the hidden gems, the sleepers, the ones that are more to our attitude, aptitude, and demeanor. So I want to take a minute and talk about the classics because everybody, I think everybody, has some love for some of the classics, and I think we all have them in the rotation. But we'll spend a little bit more time on those out there movies as well. So when I say classic Christmas movie, what is that in your household?
It's a Wonderful Life. That was one of my favorites growing up as a kid, by default, because it was playing for 24/7. And I kind of miss that. I don't have regular television or cable
Mhm.
anymore, but the that's definitely the classic that I'm familiar with. And I did like it. I also remember Miracle on 34th Street, which I didn't really care much for, but that was also another movie that was on almost as much as It's a Wonderful Life. What about you? What are some of your classics that come to mind for you?
Um, so from a kid, like the claymation, the Rankin and Bass ones,
Um,
I
okay.
just remember those from forever. We used to watch the shit because it was every year they'd come up with a new, they'd be like, oh, we got them on VHS. Now we have them on DVD. They're on TV all the time too. Right. And candidly, I never saw It's a Wonderful Life as a kid. Like I didn't watch it as a kid with attention. And I'm glad I didn't because it's the most fucking depressing movie ever. Like it starts with suicide. Like what the fuck is this Christmas movie? Um, but no, I'm with you with Miracle on 34th Street. Um, and I like the new version, like the 94 version versus the black and white, though the black and white's still great. But do you remember when that came out? I was it was pre-high school for me, so I was right in still that semi-magical Christmas sweet spot when the guy from Jurassic Park was Santa Claus.
Not me. Not me.
You're like, fuck this.
Ah, didn't
Oh
waste my
man.
time with that shit at all.
Oh,
No.
I love it. I love it. But like
I think there
also,
is an indicative like decade of Christmas movies though. Like I think it's something where, there's the Christmas movies from the 80s and then also what's being played today. What is your opinion on the difference between like the 80s stuff and the Christmas movies being made now?
well, I think that the 80s stuff is more of like the cult classic version, right? More of the undersided stuff. Some squeak into there, like Christmas Vacation. I think that was 89 though, so it's right on the cusp. And the 90s movies, I think, tend to be the more classics. And maybe that's just because it's our generation. It's either the old, like White Christmas and fucking Miracle on 34th Street, or you get into the Santa Claus, Home Alone, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Home
Those
Alone 2,
Home Alone 2, the
Home Alone
um
4, that's
never.
Home Alone
Um,
3. That's
yeah. And then you get into like the modern age of them where it's like Polar Express and some of those. But for me, it's all about the 90s that are like classic. Can't forget Elf. Elf is an every year in my family here
we
for
just
sure.
watched it the other day.
It might be like the movie I quote the most, period.
Okay.
Like I just world's best cup of coffee. just and I know I quoted a lot at Christmas, but like I'm you sit on a throne of lies. I think I use it a lot. I think I'm there with it a
That's
lot. It's so good. It may be
good.
the most timeless Christmas movie of the last 20 years.
I could see that. I was never really big into Christmas movies in general, but like
Mhm.
Elf is for sure. And when you said the most quotable, or that you quote that movie the most, even my son, as he's getting older, he picks up on a lot of the humor, and so he kind of takes that as his own, and he says jokes that are kind of, reminiscent of that, or straight up lifts from those movies. I remember us walking around and this restaurant had a sign in its window saying like world's best restaurant or whatever. I was like, and then he came out of nowhere. He's like, I want to run into that restaurant and said like, you did it. Congratulations. World's best restaurant. I was like, oh my God, I will give you $100 if you do
Here's
that
all
right
the money
now.
I have. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted him to do it, but he wouldn't. So I think this year he probably would if I asked him again. He definitely values and understands the value of money now. Yeah,
That's so great.
very quotable for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean when I mean the classics, right? Like y'all watch Elf, it sounds like that's in there. Any other of those classics that bubble up in the fam?
Home Alone for sure. And really nothing else that is too different from what you had said. Gremlins is up there, and
Gremlins,
we
we
did a
we
Gremlins
talked about
watch
it, yeah.
along a few weeks ago, but yeah, it's Gremlins is a Christmas movie, and that would be the classics, I guess, if you will.
Right. I feel like Gremlins might fall into that cult classics area because
Sure,
I like they're almost like the anti-Christmas movies. And for me, and I think for a lot of people that are our age and in our generation, we lean more towards those movies that have more like funny, quotable lean in. Elf is very pure. It's the most pure quotable movie that there might be.
agreed.
But you get into some of those cult classics, and I'm a huge fan. But it seems like we're the same as probably most people out there. How soon did you start having your kids? Were they watching these Christmas movies with you? Was it like a right away? That was it. Did your wife just say this is what we're doing every year? Because that's what happened to me. I'm just empathizing if that's the case.
My wife would
Hmm.
be the front runner and the person organizing the movie viewings for sure.
Hmm.
The only one that I usually will kind of suggest or was like, this is what we're doing is Lethal Weapon for sure. That's definitely that's my hidden gem, if you will. So back when I was saying like my favorite Christmas movie isn't, a classic Christmas movie or what everyone thinks, like Christmas doesn't start until Hans Gruber falls off of Nakatomi Plaza. But yeah, Die Hard, while a great movie, not my number one Christmas movie. Not even close.
And for those of you that have listened to our podcast for any length of time, you knew that, and we were all knowing that. And there was a reference to that earlier in this episode, if you heard it, and if you did,
Very true.
Easter eggs, you're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Maybe I like Lethal Weapon because it reminds me of It's a Wonderful Life.
I think that is a very interesting thread to pull.
Well, I mean, you said that It's a Wonderful Life starts off with suicide, or attempted suicide, if you will. Or in some cases, maybe it's successful because some people will say that he actually died and Clarence just magically brought him back to life. But yeah, same thing with Lethal Weapon. Martin Riggs, first scene that we see with him, if you're not watching the director's cut, is him wanting to put a bullet in his head. So kind of dreary for a Christmas movie, right? But uh, I still stay true to the fact that I feel like it is the best Christmas movie over Die Hard because it's all about friendship and family, and it comes full circle. A loner who kind of puts himself at arm's distance and then has Christmas dinner with his partner who, as he got to know him, uh, ends up becoming his best friend for years to come.
So is Murtaugh Clarence? Because I want Joe
Maybe.
Pesci to be Clarence.
Well, I mean, in the first movie, first movie is the Christmas movie, but
Hmm.
I would say that maybe Murtaugh is. There are some parallels to where why I enjoy it. I'm being dead serious right now, is because I like a little bit of downer in my movies. I love some downers in a Christmas movie because I love to see kind of like that ascent back up to the prestigious Christmas spirit of everything. But yeah, that's just me.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. I for some reason never pulled that. Never pulled the parallel between Lethal Weapon and It's a Wonderful Life, but holy shit, we're here. We just broke the internet, folks.
And
Let's
this
go.
is why you tune in to the I Can Do This All Day
That is it.
podcast.
That is why we do this. Um,
We're gonna wrap it up right now. All right, guys, great
it's
episode.
ending
We'll
on a
see you
high
later.
note. And you know, I could belabor and drag us through the more classic Christmas movies, but I think that we all watch them. We talked about which ones we
Yeah.
love, which ones we don't. Let's dig into those cult classics because for me, I am very off the page with Christmas movies as far as which ones are like my favorite. Like I'm gonna for those of you that are watching us via clips or found us that way, all of us scroll the interwebs, right, and you'll find that a lot of people were sharing single screen caps of on what streaming service you could find what movies, right? And every time I pulled that up, I got pissed off, Dan. You want to know why?
Why?
They left out one of my absolute must-watch Christmas movies that I cannot get enough of. That's on Disney Plus. Where the fuck is the Muppet Christmas Carol in that? Every single one you pull it up, it's not there, and it's great. The Muppet Christmas Carol might be the best version of a Christmas Carol. Just saying.
So I loved the Muppets when I was younger, Muppet Babies specifically, but I never really got into the movies as much. I watched them, but I wasn't like, oh my God, this is great. I want to watch it next year.
The
But I
songs in a
think,
Muppet Christmas Carol are just they get me. I
yeah,
dig it.
it's entertaining, and I do like I've seen it like more
Mhm.
than a handful of times. It's just not up there. But I'm glad that you do like it because I mean, who doesn't love the Muppets? If you don't, what kind of ISIS
Get off
faction
my
are you a part
podcast.
of?
Get off my podcast if you don't like the Muppets.
Exactly.
I must seem to really like the Christmas Carol story as well, because Scrooged is a must watch for me.
I knew
Like
that was coming up too.
the
Yeah.
best, like Bill Murray. Oh, in that is so amazing.
What about some of like the other obviously you got like and I wouldn't necessarily say those are cult classics, but like some of the underappreciated or hidden gems, if you will, for Christmas, like for Christmas movies.
Trading Places.
Yep.
Love Trading Places. And that's another one. Like there's the popular non-traditionals like the Die Hards, and we've belabored that one already. But getting into something like Trading Places, um, the more off-brand Rankin and Bass, the claymation for some reason gets me, but like the Year Without a Santa Claus and like the more like non-traditional ones, I always enjoyed. And then like there are those people that like Hallmark Christmas movies. I'm not one of those people, but there are those people.
Okay, I'm glad that you brought that up because I almost forgot that that was a part of everything. And I've seen so far this season so far, and we're obviously recording this a little bit earlier, but hey, with the magic of podcasting, we can release this on the week of Christmas. I have watched a healthy amount of Hallmark movies to help make uh, my wife feel more in that Christmas spirit, but also because I always pick the movies, and I gave her a few picks of some movies, and she picked Hallmark Christmas movies. And I don't know what type of blackmail they have on Lacey Chabert
Oh my
from
God.
Party of Five, but she is
Oh,
in every single one of them,
and they're
all of them.
all I can, you know what? I can sum up our reviews for those movies very quickly, and I'll speak for you. Any Christmas movie with Lacey, I'm sorry, we cannot do this all day.
Well, here's a surprising thing. I'm not going to say
Oh,
I can do
the
this all day.
hypocrisy.
this is one that I found highly entertaining because of how ridiculous it was. And that was on Netflix, Hot Frosty.
What? That
Have you seen the
sounds
trailers or
no,
the
but it sounds so dirty.
Hot Frost? Oh, that's the reason why I was like, Hot Frosty, huh? Okay, let's see what this is all about. Such an entertaining piece of film, I guess you could say. Just because there's so many different characters in there. Craig Robinson's in it. Um,
Katie
Lauren
Mixon from
Holly.
Eastbound and Down is in it.
Yeah, Lauren Holly's in it, so it's like and Lauren Holly has I even commented on her threads that like your scene was the best in that movie. And so like Lauren Holly, friend of the podcast, I know that you're watching and listening right now, but yeah, it was funny
Samsonite.
for me. Yeah, exactly. Funny for me just because like okay, Craig Robinson can do no wrong and all of his scenes were just kind of funny, but the premise is just so freaking ridiculous. And the name of it being Hot Frosty, I was waiting for like some cheesy moment to where it's like, they're sitting around town talking about who's that guy? Oh, he's like some kind of hot frosty, and everyone turns and looks at the camera. Like that's what I was waiting for, but it never happened. But
Man.
yeah,
For those listeners
Hallmark.
out there, 82% Rotten Tomatoes,
Oh my
but
God.
5.5% IMDb.
Fair enough. There we go.
Oh man.
IMDb, thanks for keeping it real.
Oh
The most
geez.
reliable of rating systems, IMDb.
I I gotta go tell my wife I appreciate her because of the torture that your wife apparently puts you through.
It's
Because
not
we do have to
it's
watch what?
not bad, but
Oh man.
it's bad. It's not
The
that bad
hypocrisy is
though.
so strong with you. There are two Christmas movies that she makes me watch every year. One that I've come to enjoy, and another one, Love Actually, and
Ugh.
what's the one with Jack Black? Day. It's literally called The
I've
Holiday.
never even heard of that.
It's not terrible. It's at least like A-list actors as opposed to Hot
Uh,
Frosty.
just to
Why are
bring
we
it
doing
back
a
to
Hot Frosty watch along? We should have done a Hot Frosty episode. Oh
just
my
to
god.
bring it back too. So
Oh.
Lacey Chabert also did a movie, a Hallmark Christmas movie with Scott Wolf. So it was so weird though because they play brother and sister in it, but you swear there's like this weird sexual tension that like Scott Wolf and Lacey Chabert have always wanted to bang each other because they're getting like so close to each other and like being very, very emotional with certain scenes. I'm like, they're about to fuck right now. Like this is weird. The brother and sister from Party of Five are just gonna flat out fornicate right here on this Christmas Hallmark movie.
So
So
what you're
weird.
saying? So what you're saying is she thinks he's super fetch.
Uh, yeah, what sure. Oh gosh. I get that reference, but
I
it
know
just
you do.
makes
That's why I
me
love it.
makes me cringe. So another one that was like I'm not a big rom-com person either, and this combines rom-com and holiday Christmas movie is and I think I talked about it on one of our Christmas episodes, but Love Hard with Jimmy O Yang and oh gosh, I can't remember the girl's name. Nina Dobrev, I think maybe that's who it was, but um that was a fun movie. Any other hidden gems for you?
Um, no, I'm looking at this Jimmy O Yang Nina Dobrev movie, and I'm just
It's
like,
good. I like it. I'll
why?
I'll freaking watch it again. It's a
Hmm.
fun movie.
For me, I don't think there's any other deep cuts. There's stuff that you can't find anymore, though. Like that's the other thing about nostalgic childhood things. Like sometimes you have to resort to like grainy YouTube and stuff like that.
Sure.
We talked about the best Muppets Christmas movie, a Muppet Christmas Carol, but there is a deep cut late '80s TV movie that was a Muppet Family Christmas that
Hmm.
overlaid like the Muppet Show Muppets and the Sesame Street Muppets into one. I have it
Oh,
on
really?
VHS.
I've
I
never seen those two factions together, so that would be
like I
interesting.
don't I know that Bert and Ernie are in it.
Hmm.
Um there's also the Sesame Street Christmas, hugely underrated. Great Feliz Navidad scene there. If you can tell, I
That's
really enjoy Muppets. I grew up on public television apparently. But that is such a deep cut and I was so stoked to find that VHS. Um and definitely am starting. I found it this year, so I'm adding it. I added it to the rotation, and it is. I mean, it's it's not amazing, but it's fucking nostalgic as hell, and it gets my kid excited about Muppets, and that's what it's about, right? Sharing the magic, getting them excited about something that you're excited about, and that builds that like family tradition, and that's the value to me of these Christmas movies, even the Hallmark ones, right? You keep coming out with them so you can enjoy the hypocrisy. You can argue about if it was good. You can check out Hot Frosty. Like, who knows?
Frosty.
Hot Frosty.
So ridiculous. I kept on saying Hot Frosty throughout the entire movie.
Hot
Just out of nowhere, it's like Hot Frosty.
Frosty.
Just like you have to
Oh
say it
my
so
God.
sexual and seductive.
Oh. Are there
Um,
any like traditions that y'all have to get your like for us, it's when we start to decorate. Like Elf goes on, and there's like a playlist, and it's not like we turn on Christmas music. We turn on Christmas movies if we're at our house. Like
okay.
that's how we kind of get into the season there, and that's how we've started to kind of bring our son into it a little bit. Do you guys have something different?
I you would think that I would know this, but I think because it was never part of my tradition as a child, and my awareness just isn't there. My wife is a whole lot more into like the tradition of what we're doing. So yeah, well, I mean, we'll put some Christmas music on when decorating, but the tradition is usually we or my wife on both on Christmas Eve and Christmas, it is like a full on snack board, hot chocolate, little candy cane type things. I think last year I contributed orange cranberry muffins, and we just watch some Christmas movies. And one of them will be her pick, and then of course we'll watch Lethal
Hot
Weapon
Frosty.
for me. Well,
You'll
no,
watch Hot
Hot
Frosty.
Frosty. We'll probably just say Hot Frosty a bunch of
Oh
times
my
this year,
God.
but
It's gonna be it's a thing now.
it's a Hot Frosty, Mark. So you just gotta.
Hot Frosty.
It's so hot, but so frosty.
It's melted Hot Frosty.
We're putting this one on a short for a 10-hour loop, that's for
Oh
sure.
man.
Like that's
I never thought that we would talk about a
talk
Lacey.
about what?
uh,
Hot Frosty?
I never thought. I thought we were just gonna bash all the Lacey movies. I gave it a premature. Can't do this all day, but man, oh man. Oh.
So, what about like some movies that are revolving around Christmas, but they're not Christmas movies, and you're just like, oh, I watched this the other year, and this was actually pretty good. Anything that any surprise sleeper hits for you?
You know, it is an animated movie, and while prepping for this episode, I didn't know that American Tail, which is just a sad movie about losing your parents, was a Christmas type movie. I think we've talked a lot about like Die Hard and Gremlins and Trading Places and stuff like that that are specifics. I got a feeling you got one though.
I mean, there's a couple. Obviously, Violent Night came out a couple years ago with
Mhm.
David Harbour. It was not what I expected, but if you like some good violence and some, you know, good guys always win type of movie, it does bring a little bit of that Christmas spirit. But the one that really surprised me and I thought was a very well acted movie, a lot of surprises, not exactly what I expected, is Mel Gibson and Fat Man. So Mel Gibson plays Santa Claus, but he is like a bad motherfucker. Like even more of a bad motherfucker than David Harbour was in Violent Night. So
Mm,
if you haven't checked those out, do it if you like action. Any
mm,
John Wick fans or any action fans out there, you'll probably appreciate Fat Man and Violent Night. But that's it, man. I don't want to sully our Christmas episode with my plethora of violence and vulgarity, even though nothing can get much better than Hot Frosty. I think that's I'll leave the other good stuff to you.
Well, I got one more question for you because in the late 2000s, early 2010s, there was one more person that entered the Christmas zeitgeist repetitively. And that was Vince Vaughn with like Fred Claus and Four Christmases and things. How are you on some Vince Vaughn Christmas movies? Are you a keep it on, or are you a change the channel?
I am not going to seek it out. I think for any Vince Vaughn movie, the reason why I like it is not because of solely Vince Vaughn. It's because of who he's playing off of. Wedding Crashers, playing off of Owen Wilson, fantastic. Playing off of Isla Fisher, perfect. You know, with and I was never really into like the rom-coms, but what was it called? Like, is it The Breakup with Jennifer Aniston,
Yeah.
where it's not because he was hilarious in it, but I think it's that balance of whoever his co-lead or the antagonist or the protagonist is in reference to him. What
You
about you?
just, I think you just perfectly articulated why I like Four Christmases and why Fred Claus annoys me.
Fred Claus, he's like the main dude, right? Like
Yeah,
he
he's like the
that's
main dude, but in Four Christmases, him and Reese, and then you get the sprinkles in of the other actors that are amazing in it, right? You got Duvall, you've got Favreau's in it, you got all these awesome characters. So yeah, no, look at you. You just tied that up with a bow, like you're wrapping a present.
almost like it's Christmas. Almost like it's
Oh,
Christmas.
it's a Christmas miracle. Oh man. Well,
Christmas movies, man. It just makes you feel special. And I don't think I asked you. Do you have like besides like the putting on the Christmas movies, do you have any other kind of traditions or rituals?
I think that we just spend time, right? We try and carve out time to do, to have experiences, to do like to take our son out to like tree lightings and stuff, and just have fun with it, right? We spend time together. It's cold out. Nobody wants to do that. So we watch a lot of Christmas movies and have a lot of fun.
We do love to like I love to just get in the car and drive around and look at Christmas lights. That is another big thing. Like obviously not movie related, but hey, we're listening to some Christmas music as we're going around and it's a fun time. Like obviously Christmas now is so much more different than when I was a kid, but this time I get to relive it a little bit, and my wife kind of sparks that joy that I could have experienced when I was younger, but I get to experience it now, which it almost might be even better because I get to see the joy in my kids' eyes and their excitement, and then I get to feel good about that, including, being excited myself about whatever we're doing. So it's the holiday season. This isn't just an action loving cold stone type of guy for me. Like I am I get a little bit hot around the holidays, perhaps like maybe even a little hot frosty, who knows, I don't know.
And it gets a little steamy in that frostness.
Yeah,
No, I think that that's the sentiment of why we even started this episode, right? Why we decided to talk about Christmas movies in general instead of one. It's because they have such a really magical impact to not only give you the opportunity to enjoy and bring around the season, but to share it. And you're sharing in that experience with your kids, and then hopefully your kids get to share that experience with, whoever they end up with, and be that, continue that positiveness. Because I mean, the winter can be depressing and shitty and snow and all that stuff, but like, let's have some fun with it. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's, try and find the positive. Not as much hypocrisy around Christmas.
absolutely. All right, so before we go, what is your one movie that you'd recommend to that we haven't talked about yet,
Mm.
that you would recommend to the listeners to go watch this holiday season?
I'm talking about it over and over. I don't care that I've talked about it already. Go watch a Muppet Christmas Carol. It's amazing. And for those Ted Lasso fans out there, there is somewhere on YouTube a video of Brett Goldstein singing all of it in a
Hmm.
one-man show. And A Muppet Family Christmas is grainy and on YouTube. Go out there, enjoy some puppets. That's my recommendation.
And for those who haven't gotten a chance to see it, check out the Star Wars. This is my pick. Check out the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, Dan hates you. Dan hates. He
It's
recommended Hot Frosty
no,
and the Star Wars Christmas special. For the record.
no.
For
Check
the
it out.
record.
Check out Star Wars The Holiday Special. It's somewhere on YouTube. It's yeah, the
Oh,
quality isn't there, but you know what? It really it really captures the essence of Christmas.
Oh,
And I promise you, if you watch that in its entirety in one sitting, you'll remember it forever.
you'll need Clarence, is what you'll do. You'll need Clarence. You'll be jumping off a bridge.
Well, that wraps it up for our Christmas episode of the I Can Do This All Day podcast. Mark, it has been our third Christmas episode, I believe. So crazy, crazy, crazy,
We've been here
crazy that
for,
we have
I'm
done it
getting
for
too old
this
for this
long.
shit.
But we enjoy it. We enjoy it. And thank you for being my co-host on this venture. And until next time, I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger. That is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Don't forget to give us the present of liking and subscribing. I Can Do This All Day podcast on all of the socials. Happy Life Day, everybody.
And maybe enjoy a Hot Frosty sometime this holiday season. We'll see you next time.